Support for this podcast comes from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative, connecting communities with the resources, infrastructure, and networks to ensure a vibrant local free press.
From KVPR in Fresno, this is Central Valley Daily. It's Monday, September 8th. I'm Elizabeth Arkalian. The use of artificial intelligence seems almost ubiquitous in today's world, including within our law enforcement.
In my conversations with the Fresno Police Department, they do seem to be using this program a lot.
Coming up, we'll learn more about how Fresno PD and other departments are using AI to write police reports. That conversation in just a moment.
Support for Central Valley Daily comes from Fresno Mazda, part of the Prieto Automotive family, leading the industry in the IIHS 2025 Top Safety Pick Awards, helping move Mazda closer to the goal of eliminating traffic fatalities. More information and the Mazda digital showroom available at myfresnomazda.com.
And now to our feature story. Artificial intelligence is rapidly developing, and one surprising sector testing out its power is law enforcement. A police technology firm launched a tool last year that's designed to expedite police reports. The company is called Axon, and they're a leader in the police technology space. Their tool is called Draft One, and it can take footage and audio from body cameras and use it to write police reports for the officers. Several police forces across the country have been trying it out, including in Fresno. The use of Draft One is supposed to save officers time while on duty, and it proposes to let officers spend more time fighting crime. But that's if everything works perfectly. Leading civil liberties groups have voiced concern that the use of such technology by police could violate people's rights. Some say it can blur the line between officer-reported events and artificially generated information. That was one of the findings in a recent investigation by Tekendra Parmar. He's an independent journalist whose report recently appeared in Mother Jones. To better understand why a police department would pilot this technology and what the risks are for officers and citizens, I asked Tekendra to give us an overview of Axon and its services.
So Axon, it started off as a taser company providing tasers to police departments across the country. But now it's become closer to what I would describe as the Amazon cloud service for police departments, about 5,000 police departments nationwide. And what that means is their major product is something called evidence.com, which is a cloud storage facility for police departments to upload evidence and keep track of things. Now, Draft One is sort of, an add-on tool to this company's digital offerings. And what it does is it takes the audio from a body camera. They also experimented with doing footage from a body camera as well, and it turns them into police reports using artificial intelligence, the new sort of artificial intelligence tools that we're familiar with, specifically a skinned version of ChatGPT.
So essentially, part of the goal here is to save officers time. Is that right?
That's very much the goal. I mean, think about it, as you and I, Elizabeth, we like writing. That's why we do what we do. As journalists, we spend a lot of time doing it, but we also recognize that there is a strong amount of tedium in it. Now imagine that tedium for somebody who doesn't want to be writing. I think it's a very natural thing to want a tool that makes this part of the process much easier. But unfortunately, there are a lot of consequences to using artificial intelligence to write, some of which we may have already encountered in our own instances with ChatGPT, from hallucinations to AI biases, things that you really don't want to risk a police report having.
I want to note in your recent report for Mother Jones, you combed through a lot of data to see how different departments are utilizing this tool. And something that stood out to me is that Axon has built in certain safeguard features, which is supposed to help officers catch potential mistakes in the reports that Draft One is generating. But you found that many departments are turning off those safeguards. Is that right?
Yes, that's exactly what I found. So now, when this product was released last year, around last spring, various different organizations and journalists really raised up flags saying, hey, AI is a very unproven tool. We already see these instances of biases seeping out in our, stress testing of these systems. Are you sure you want to use this product to write police reports? And Axon came out and was like, no, you don't understand. We have developed this system that really, minimizes and eliminates the amount of errors that the AI can produce. For one thing, they have, for example, a minimum level of edits that an officer might need to do before a police report can be pushed out into the system. Another thing that they implemented was a sort of fantastical feature. I say fantastical because it inserted these obvious inaccuracies into the text, like very fantasy like, and then a blue squirrel jumped out of nowhere. Things that like you would put in to make sure that an officer is actually reading the police report, and obviously removing those like weird inventions. But what I found through Freedom of Information requests, requesting the settings pages of the, from the 20 or so departments that have been using this software, that we know have been experimenting with Draft One specifically. So, 5,000 police departments across the country use Axon services. Draft One specifically, we know from great shoe leather reporting from local journalists across the country, is used by at least 21 departments. From FOIA requesting those 21 departments for their settings pages for Axon Draft One, what I found was oftentimes police departments were turning off a lot of those safeguard features, like those minimum edits. And more concerningly, a few departments had also turned off features that notified people that these reports were written by artificial intelligence. Fresno was not one of those, but that's been happening as well.
I appreciate you clarifying that thousands of departments use Axon and just over 21 use Draft One, this specific AI tool that we're talking about, because I want to note that you found that the Fresno Police Department used the Draft One software more than 3,000 times between December 2024 and April 2025. Now, do you know if Fresno and other departments are exclusively using this tool, Draft One, or do we know if officers are still also writing manual reports? Any idea of how much this tool is being integrated into their daily tasks?
Right. So that's a really good question. And so we know that the Fresno Police Department has certain safeguards on what kinds of reports that officers can use Draft One on. So I've just pulled up Fresno's Draft One settings page, and I can tell you that they've blocked certain incidents types, from felonies to impaired driving to sexual offenses. That's a lot more than a lot of other departments across the country are doing, where, the Draft One program can be used for any incident type. But in my conversations with the Fresno Police Department, they do seem to be using this program a lot, 3,000 during that time span.
And is the department disclosing with that AI header or footer that they're using artificial intelligence?
They do. And in my conversations with them, it seems like Fresno has been finding some utility with the software and does intend to use it for many more incident types in the coming future.
My colleague, Carrie Klein, reported on the Fresno Police Department's use of Draft One last year, and she'd spoken with Fresno PD Sergeant Stephen Casto. One of the things that he mentioned was that this Draft One tool was actually saving officers between 20 to 30 minutes per report that they had to write. And I wanted to know if that was something that you also found in your reporting, which I suppose this tool is purporting to do, is save officers time. Are officers saving time with Draft One?
I think the question that's a really good question, but the answer to that is very mixed. So yes, we have the Fresno PD, which even in its emails to me said the same thing, that we're finding a lot of utility out of it. But actually, other police departments have said the exact opposite. So in Alaska, for example, the Anchorage PD said it ended its trial of Draft One because it didn't find any utility of it when it came to time saving. Another department in New Hampshire found similar results. They didn't really find the time savings that would allow them to utilize such a product in a good way. So the question on that is really mixed.
Yeah. Okay, looking ahead, do we think more and more police departments will be using this tool, trying it out, or maybe not? What's your sense moving forward?
That's a good question. I mean, we should go back to that number of police departments that use Axon services. This is it's not a startup, right? This is a company that has its grip into 5,000 police departments across the country. In this little over 12 months, it's been able to get 21 departments to experiment with this really uncharted tool. The company itself is positioned in a really good place to advertise this product to police departments across the country. But, what I see as the friction point right now is there is legislation coming up where lawmakers are kind of concerned about how these tools are used, whether or not that makes police departments rethink purchasing the product. I'm not sure, but what it does mean is there might be more friction when it comes to regulating how these tools are used, how to inform people that these tools are being used, what it can be used for, what it can't be used for. We have a sort of pilot piece of legislation, and I say pilot in the sense that it was one of the first states to implement this in Utah, about how officers can use AI. California is experimenting with something similar. I think watchdogs in Washington State and Seattle have also warned of the necessity for the state to be looking into how to regulate officer use of AI. So as these tools enter public consciousness, I think Axon will have a lot more to answer for in terms of its utility and how it's being used.
Independent investigative journalist Tekendra Parmar, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
And if you would like to hear more on this topic, last fall, KVPR's own Carrie Klein spoke with the Fresno Police Department about their adoption of Draft One. Get a behind-the-scenes look at the department where they test out some of those tools for Carrie. You can hear her report titled AI is Helping Fresno Police Officers Write Their Reports. Could it outperform them? On the KVPR website. And that is today's show. Today's episode was produced by Jonathan Linden and KVPR with support from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative. I'm Elizabeth Arkalian. You can find the latest local news anytime at kvpr.org.
It's rare to find a podcast that can actually change your life. But when the show's called Life Kit, that's kind of the whole point. I'm Mariel Segarra. 3 times a week on the Life Kit podcast, we guide you through a topic we could all use help with, from personal development to healthy living to managing your dinero, with takeaways so you can start living what you learn right away. Escucha el Life Kit podcast from NPR.